If you're looking for the easiest and cheapest thing to make with resin, this is probably it. No colours, no additives, just resin. Anyone can do this. Right, we are back, and this one is probably the easiest thing you could ever make with resin, particularly UV resin. So we've just got a open back bezel here. Now I have seen this technique around for a while. I can't pinpoint who exactly came up with it. There's different ways and different techniques on doing it as well, but I'm not going to be using, or shall I? Shall I do a version with the tape as well? All I want to do is fill this with my resin. That's it. I don't need this. I'm just going to be using my silicone mat from Resin Art because it's just the white one. You've seen me use this with lots of different freeform jewelry. So what we need to ensure first of all is that this is spotless, or just the area that you're going to be working with. So I'm just going to clean this area with some alcohol, but I'm using a tissue, and what's going to happen is that's also going to leave tiny little fibers on the silicone. But I just want to get the area clean first before the next step. Now I'm just going to use some painter's tape just to lift off anything that's left from that tissue, like so. And the good thing about this effect or technique is that you don't even really need to use your big lamp. You can just get away with just using your handheld UV torch such as this. So all I need to do is just place my heart onto the area that I've cleaned. Just give it a gentle push, but it doesn't need to be pushed hard at all. And then out comes the UV resin. I'm using the Resin Rockers Clear Hard type, and I'm just going to not fill it completely, but just pour enough in there to touch the sides. That's all we need to do. If we need to top it up after it's cured, we can do that. It's not a problem. The more you put in, the more risk you've got of it leaking underneath. And I'm just using my silicone brush just to help move it to all the sides, and the surface tension will also help to stop it from leaking underneath. So you don't always need that blue tape, you just need a clean surface. So I'm going to continue just working that to the edges until it's all touching. Now, all I need to do now is just use my torch and just hover it over for a good minute or so, just to make sure it's all cured. We can now just lift that off, or peel it off from the silicone mat. Now, the colour of the silicone mat is going to make a difference. If you're using, say, if I was to do it on my black mat, which is underneath this, what's going to happen is the light won't be able to penetrate through, so just bear that in mind. You can see there's like a little ring where some of the resin got underneath the bezel, but it's really nothing to worry about. You can just cure that and clean it off. So by doing it on this silicone mat, we've got a matte effect on the back of our piece. Now we can just top this up without worrying about spillage or anything. We can just fill that up to the top, just like so. And again, I'm just going to cure that layer with this. I don't need to get the beast out. So before we move on to the next part, focus, we're going to run a little experiment. We're going to try one with bezel tape, and we're also going to try one with painter's tape. So I've got these open back bezels. These are also from Resin Rockers. So the tape width, the painter's tape width, I can't really get away with using it on these ones. So I'm gonna do this one with these small round ones. It's got like a texture too. So with bezels like this, you wouldn't be able to do what I've just done. They need to be flat. This one's textured. So the minute I pour my resin into this, it is just going to seep out underneath because they're not completely flat. So that will be the painter's tape. And then for the actual blue bezel tape, I'm going to be using one of these ones. And they do also come in gold, but gold's not my thing. I don't really like gold. So for the painter's tape, you're going to need a tiny bit. We're just going to push that bezel onto the tape. Now this should give us a textured glass effect, like an antique glass. Get off. And the same thing for the bezel tape. I really don't like this stuff. It can be hit and miss. I don't really get on with it. But this will give us more of a glossy finish, which you probably already know. And again, I'm just going to fill enough to touch the sides of the bezel on both and then top up afterwards, same as what I did with the other heart. So before I go peeling off, especially this one, I'm going to wait for the resin to cool down, because when you peel it off, it can leave, it can also leave a layer of the blue tape or the sticky stuff on the resin. Another reason why I don't really like it. Like that. You see what I mean? It's just hit and miss. So the best way I've found to get that off is just a bit of alcohol. Comes off really, really easily. So this one hasn't got that matte finish. It is finished glossy, but we'll carry on and compare them all at the end. Now for the painter's tape, this won't leave behind stuff like the blue tape does. It will just leave us with a textured finish like this. See that? It's really, really nice. I like it. So the final stage is just flipping them over. I've topped these two up off camera, ready for the last bit. And I'm just cleaning this back off because again, I've cleaned it with alcohol and there could be little pieces of tissue fiber we don't want. So all I've got in here is like a tiny amount of UV resin. Now you can use a cocktail stick, toothpick, whatever you want to call it, or you can use a pin, whatever you prefer. And all we are going to do is add water drops. So just let it touch the surface. You can keep them round if you want. Again, this is where the flashlight really comes in handy, because we can just really quickly just blast that and keep going like so. And if you want a drop effect, you just drop the resin on and just slowly pull it up like so. It's that simple. Go as big or as small as you want. So I was thinking as well, you could potentially put some wire in this to make it look like a window frame. That's entirely up to you. But I think this is the easiest resin technique you could do, and possibly the cheapest. There's no color, there's no additives. And if you do it this way, you don't even need the tape. So I'm just going to continue with all three and just add my water drops. As always, massive shout out to my channel members, anyone who's bought me a coffee or a super thanks. I don't think I've already said that. If I have, I apologize. Another thing, you can also utilize the frame so it looks like the water is running down the bezel just by touching the sides like so. And just like that, it really is that easy. We're all done. As always, give the video a thumbs up, drop me a comment. If you haven't subbed, hit that button for me. So this is the one where we use the painter's tape. Let me try and get it in different light. So you could turn that into earrings, a pendant, whatever you want. It just adds a different vibe to the back. And it's an alternative to get a kind of matte finish with this type of bezel without using the bezel tape. You could always use the bezel tape and then sand up the back, I suppose, with a very fine sandpaper. But what could happen is when you're adding the drops, the resin could kind of run into the grooves, I suppose. You have to experiment with that one. This is the one with the blue bezel tape. I love the way it looks like it's running down the frame. It has a more glass-like look to it compared to the matte effect, but I definitely prefer the matte effect. And that's why. They really stand out in such a nice way compared to the others. I think this is definitely my favorite, 100%. What you could also do, instead of using bezels, you could just freeform. Just pour your resin onto your silica mat, cure it, flip it over, and then just do the effects. You could link them together in different sizes to make drop earrings. Just play around with it, but it's really a super easy, I think, beginner level way to achieve some really nice pieces of resin jewelry. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you for the next one. Bye for now.